What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Nicholas McGehee. You're tuned into Entering the Templi Secretum. Today's going to be a little bit different. Instead of going through a how-to guide or stuff, I'm going to more along the lines tell a story, if you will. As you can see, I am at work and I am filming in my patrol car. I've been pretty sick with allergies and stuff, so I'm a little bit nasally, and I have not really had time to film at my house when I'm in my civilian clothes. And yes, I am a police officer. I'm not wearing my badge because it has my agency name on it, and that's something I'm not entirely comfortable with putting out on YouTube. But this video is not going to be about my journey through the career of law enforcement, really. Instead, it's going to be about the story of how I became a Freemason and what Freemasonry has taught me, and basically my journey throughout the craft. So before we get started on this video, all I'm gonna ask is that all the conspiracy theories and random weird stuff that comes up when one normally researches Freemasonry, go ahead and tune those out. I'm not gonna get into those in this video. I'm just gonna get into the bare basics and my story of how me and Freemasonry cross paths. So, let's get started. I've always had an interest in fraternal organizations, brotherhoods, and stuff like that, if you will, both criminal and non-criminal. And while that sounds weird when I'm talking about Freemasonry, in a little bit it's going to make sense. I was working full-time for the Florida Department of Corrections. And working with the Florida Department of Corrections, you're dealing with inmates, large populations of inmates. And one of the things that is prevalent within those types of structures and societies is criminal organizations, gangs. And it's something that I became fascinated with throughout my career. And I said, you know what, I really want to learn about this stuff. I want to join the gang unit, so on and so forth. And some things worked out in my favor. I actually did join the gang unit. And I was mentored under somebody. He was my sergeant, and he ran the gang unit. And this man, oh man, he's an awesome guy. He proved to be a great mentor to me and taught me so much, and actually brought me on to a multi-agency gang task force that combined with some of the sheriff's offices, along with some of the alphabet soup agencies. Some of that I'm not going to go into, but I just had this deep fascination with them, and would begin to study them and talk with them and learn a little bit more. And I've always been, well, for quite a long time, not always, but for quite a long time, I've been a student of esoteric and occult studies. And Freemasonry was always something in the back of my mind, something that I've looked up. But like most people, when you research Freemasonry, you get some more of the conspiracy theories, some of the crazy stuff, and it's kind of hard to filter out what's true and what's not true, because Freemasonry is a society that has a lot of confidential or private secrets, if you will. Not as much as people think, and they're not really as well guarded as they were back in the day. So I'm sitting down one day with my sergeant, my mentor, talking with him, and somehow this topic of Freemasonry came up. I believe I brought it up. And he told me, he said, well, what do you want to know about it? I said, well, what do I want to know about it? He said, I'm a Freemason. And my brain just exploded. I was like, you're a free? Wow, really? And I started asking him all these questions. And he started giving me bits and pieces of information. He told me that basically, if it's something I'm interested in, the process to go about on how to join, to petition a lodge, and so on and so forth. Well, while working full-time with them, I was also a reserve police officer with the agency that I'm currently with. And one day I'm working with the agency, and I come to find out that one of my higher ups was also a Freemason. So I began talking with him about it as well, and he started giving me a lot of the same information that my former sergeant had given me. And basically, he actually got me a petition for the lodge that he belonged to, which I eagerly filled out and turned in. So while I'm waiting to hear back from the lodge and on my date for initiation, I got a little bit of advice on places that I should look for more information, and that led my search to YouTube, where I discovered several YouTube channels of Freemasons that were given advice on how to join and what to expect, as well as some insanely profound topics that really interested me, even though I wasn't yet a Mason. A couple shout outs to those channels that really sealed the deal for me in knowing that this is what I want, and eventually led me to where I am today. The two of the ones I started with was the Winding Stairs podcast, which is conducted by Brother Juan Sepulveda out of Kissimmee, Florida. Excellent brother, excellent artist. He has a shop on his website, so if you guys want to check that out, he sells rings, he sells some of his artwork that he does. Really great shop, really good Mason. The Whence Came You Masonic podcast, which is hosted by Brother Robert Johnson, who does a series of research papers that he reads off throughout his podcast, as well as esoteric conversations with a gentleman by the name of Frater O. Brother Robert Johnson, his podcast really kind of sealed the deal for me on just the way he spoke and the way he carried himself. Really kind of said, you know what, this is a guy I kind of want to emulate. Just his mannerisms. Masonic Roundtable was a huge one that I discovered after the Winding Stairs and Whence Came You, because Brother Juan Sepulveda and Brother Robert Johnson from the respective podcasts also are hosts on the Masonic Roundtable, which is a YouTube series that also has Brother John Ruark, now Brother Mike Hambricht, as well in the past had Brother Nick Johnson and Brother Jason Richards. You know, these guys get together and they get on these conversations and these topics. You can expect to learn quite a bit from these brethren. They're just very intelligent, very charismatic, very well read, and very well spoken. Another YouTube channel that I learned about after I became a Mason is actually the Three Distinct Knocks channel, hosted by Brother David Riley and Brother Nicholas Harvey, who's a very good personal friend of mine. He provides a lot of guidance on his channel as well, and they get into some very good topics. All these channels I'm going to put in the link down below for you guys to find. That way, if you have questions that I didn't address in this episode, you guys can seek out their channels and find more light. Some time went by, and I was invited to the lodge one day to bring my family to eat dinner with them before their lodge meeting, and I took them up on it. So me and my wife and my daughters get to the lodge, and we're sitting there and eat dinner, and they're asking me questions and trying to get to know me, trying to get to know my family. They were extremely welcoming, and it was really crazy to me because there's a lot of older men in there, and I'm a younger guy, but they weren't really talking to me as if I was some young whippersnapper or whatever. They were talking to me as if we were on this equal level. And that's something that really resonated with me. And they took me in to see the lodge room and kind of gave me a brief history, which some of I've already researched. And they said they'd be in contact with me. They got back with me on the date for my initiation. It was going to be in January of 2017. And I was excited. I was really excited, but I was nervous at the same time because all the conspiracy theories that I looked up on the internet were coming to fruition in my head. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to do all this crazy stuff. And But I said, you know what? No matter what happens, I'm going to go through it. They said at any point in time, if you say it's not for you, you can leave. I said, okay, cool. So the date rolls around, and I show up at the lodge, and I'm in my nice suit, and I'm ready for it. And I went through the first degree. I was initiated as an entered apprentice. And it was a life-changing moment. It was an initiatic experience. It's an experience that's hard to describe unless you've gone through it. There was no foul play, no violence, nothing crazy or satanic, or all the stuff the internet said was completely false. And it was a beautiful moment. And from right then and there, from the moment I walked out the lodge, I hit the ground running. I did very hard work on my catechisms, returned them. In March, I went through my fellowcraft degree, the second degree. And I was eager. I was ready to be raised to the sublime degree of a Master Mason. I was ready for it. And our worshipful master hit me up and he said, hey, I got something that you might be interested in. I said, well, what is it? He said, one of the local lodges is doing an outdoor degree for the Master Mason degree. I was like, oh, okay. And I said, you know, Rob, I really don't know much about it. So what do you suggest? He goes, it's something that's very rarely done in our area, and to be able to be the opportunity to be a candidate to go through it would be a very unforgettable moment. So I said, you know, yeah, let's do it. So he set it up. And the day rolls around. My mentor, the sergeant from the Florida Department of Corrections, came out there and watched me get raised to sublime degree of a Master Mason, and that was it. I was a Master Mason. I was entitled to all the benefits of being a Master Mason in that point, and I worked so hard to get there that I actually felt like I deserved it. So that was a really good experience. And I had joined a brotherhood. I had joined the world's oldest still existing brotherhood. And that was an accomplishment. I mean, that was something that's so considered so secretive and so hard to get in, which it's not. It's really not. To be one, ask one. And I did it. I was here. Freemasonry had taught me so much. Really made me examine things that I didn't really think about before. My mortality, for example, how I treat people. And it gives you tools, kind of, if you will, on things you can do to be a better man. I was very down in this area, at least at my lodge. It's not really focused on the esoteric study, although when you go through the degrees and you witness the ceremonies and rituals, it's there. The esoteric and philosophical teachings are very much there, but other than the degrees and rituals, at least in my lodge, it's not really talked about or examined or studied. And I was craving more. So I signed up to do what's called the York Rite. And I basically did a festival for all the York Rite degrees. I went through 4 degrees in the chapter of the Royal Archmasons. I went through 2 degrees in the Council of Cryptic Masons. And then I went through 2 of the knightly orders, the Order of the Red Cross and the Order of the Knights of Malta. And they had told me next Friday they were planning a special degree for the final degree there, which is the Order of the Temple. I received the Order of the Temple on Friday, October the 13th, 2017. And I went out, I drove like 2.5 hours, 3 hours to get to the place where I was going to receive this order. And that was the most life-changing experience that I had in Masonry. it surpassed all the other degrees, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, but it was a beautiful, just a profound ceremony, ritual that I went through, and it really made me examine my life. And after that was done, I basically joined the Order of the Templar, or the Order of the Knights Templar. It's not a order that I'm currently really involved in. I'm still involved in my Blue Lodge, but for reasons I'm not going to get into, I'm not really involved in our local commandery. So that's my experience. That is what happened with me when I became a Freemason. Obviously, I'm not going to get into the details of what happened during the ritual. I'm not going to get into the secrets that the lodge has, which is basically modes of recognition in certain parts of the ritual. But I was obligated not to, so therefore I'm not. Some of the questions you guys might have, if this is something that's kind of been on your heart, then I will provide you the resources that I know of for you guys to be able to go through with the process and begin this journey for yourself. There are some requirements. One, you have to be a man. I'm sorry, ladies, but in what we call regular-bodied Freemasonry, or regular-bodied Prince Hall Masonry, which is actually now kind of getting mutually recognized. Unfortunately, not in our state of Florida yet, but soon. You have to be a man. You have to be an adult. I believe the age is now 18. Used to be 21, but I believe it's 18 now. You have to believe in God. Now, the belief in God is, a lot of people get turned off by professing faith in deity. So when people say God, you obviously think of the major three Abrahamic faiths, whether it's Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. This is not the case. They're stating that you have to believe in a supreme power, a supreme deity. Does not matter what you call that deity, but you cannot be an atheist. You have to believe in a creator. Now, whether that creator is a man with a beard in the sky, or whether that creator is cosmic energy, was a creative force to create the world that we see today, is basically what you have to believe in. If you guys want to join, to be one, ask one, as I had said before, and as I'm sure you've seen on bumper stickers or so on and so forth. To be one, ask one. Chances are you probably know a Freemason, whether it's a family member or somebody at work. You see the square and compass decals pretty much everywhere nowadays. Get into a conversation with one. Let them get to know you if they don't already know you, and feel you out. If you guys absolutely do not know a Freemason, what I suggest you do is get on the internet and research your local lodge. You can go through whatever your state is. If you're in the United States, whatever your state Grand Lodge is, you can go through there and do a lodge locator, type in your zip code, and find your local lodge. Find out when they're meeting, or find a phone number to get in contact with somebody. They should invite you to one of their dinners or something, so they can get to know you or talk to you or answer any questions that you guys have. Freemasonry has absolutely changed my life. It has made me a much better person than I was, and provided me tools to aid in that transition. I'm a better man. I'm a better police officer. I'm a better husband. And I'm a better father because of the tools that I've utilized in my life that Freemasonry has provided me. I will be doing more Masonic videos in the future where I talk on certain topics, and possibly bring some of my other brethren on the show, maybe to do interviews or just conversations, free speeches, and conversations that we can have, and put it up on my channel. If you guys like this video, go ahead and leave me a comment down below. If you're a brother watching this, leave me a comment down below. I'd love to know how many of my brothers that I actually have on my channel. I know I got quite a few of you, but go ahead and drop me a little square and compass in the comments below, or a little casual smib. And yeah, go ahead and like this video. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and press that subscribe button. Press that little bell down there so you can be notified when my new videos come out. I know I say it every time, but I do got some awesome content that I have planned coming out on my channel. So definitely stay tuned for that. And until I see you guys next time, stay blessed.